Dr. Tammy Taylor.
And I'm Dr. Sheka Houston. We're with Create and Educate. Have you ever thought about trying to get what you have to offer in schools? Do you have a book, a service? Are you a small business or entrepreneur? And you think you have something innovative that would be helpful for children, for teachers, schools, or school systems? Well, we have something that will be able to help you navigate that process. As school principals, one of the things that we noticed is being in charge of contracts and the budgets for schools. A lot of times there wasn't a lot of equity around that process for women, for small businesses, or for entrepreneurs. So our system will help you navigate that process and get what you have to offer in front of more children and into more schools.
To get started, click on the link that takes you to our webinar that we've created on how to conduct business with schools, and it will help you to begin your process.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Bejanae.
Hey, Dr. Sheka Houston. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Even though it's raining, we always find a reason to shine and thrive, even in the rain.
That's right. That's right. It's cloudy here too in Atlanta, but I'm looking forward to it brightening up for the weekend. So like you said, there's always reasons to shine. And speaking about shining, we have two shining authors that we're going to feature tonight. So look forward to introducing our audience to them.
Definitely. And if this is your first time tuning in, I am Dr. Sheka Houston with Create and Educate. My grant guru partner here, Miss Bejanae Kareem, is with BK International, and we have teamed up for the power of collaboration to be able to connect educators and parents to great resources. So our platform is twofold. We are here to showcase what the people that we have found with these great resources, how they can help educators and parents, but we're also telling the people that are tuning in who may be speakers, authors, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, how we could help them get their services and products into more schools and also help them with grants.
Wow.
So I'm going to, you saw the introduction to conducting business with schools. I'm going to show you an intro to BK International, and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Bejanae, and I'm going to get us fed through to a few more groups.
All right, sounds good.
Hello, my name is Bejanae Kareem, and I'm the founder of BK International Education Consultancy. BK International Education Consultancy is a dynamic company that equips K-12 educators, administrators, and parents with various activities dealing with science, technology, engineering, arts, and math to make learning these subjects fun and interesting. In addition to interactive labs, we provide consulting and grant writing, STEM and STEAM program startup, program evaluation, and cultural immersion tours for educators. Due to the many services that we offer, we are eager to work with you. So visit us on our website, Facebook, or Twitter, or give us a call at 678-820-9195 to schedule our services today.
It is so nostalgic looking at that at that video and all that we endeavor to do to help support school communities, teachers, families. That brings back fond memories. So, were you going to say something, Dr. Houston?
No, I was just still turning it over to you while I'm still sharing through.
Okay, great. So just to introduce to everyone, again, my name is Bejanae Kareem. I'm an equity advocate, educator. I'm also an author, as well as founder of BK International Education Consultancy. And as you can see from our spotlight reel, that we have a social impact mission. And so we want to increase students' access to innovative education. And so we help support schools. We help support daycare centers. We also support youth development organizations with their STEM and STEAM education programming. And most importantly, help them to tap into the funding they need to propel their programs. And so what I found in my time as an educator is that I was constantly spending out of pocket for materials and supplies for this and for that. to be able to provide high quality learning experiences for my students. That sometimes maybe there were school budget gaps or things that maybe the school budget didn't cover. And so what I've learned is like, oh, there are plenty of dollars out there for classrooms, for schools, for educators, as well as our featured guests, authors, and speakers who would like to be connected to schools. And so, with that, we offer training, we offer grant writing coaching, we also have some online courses and toolkits, and our featured book, as you can see over my shoulder, 12 Quick Steps to Writing Winning Classroom Grants is our Amazon bestseller, and is also available on Barnes and Noble. And it simply just shows any everyday educator how you can turn your everyday lesson plans into a winning grant application. So part of my secret sauce I'm going to share with our authors tonight and help them to find ways that they can tap into grant dollars to increase their readership, but also to connect with schools so that they can help support children and teachers as well. So I'm going to pass it back over to Dr. Houston so she can share a little bit more about how she also helps to connect to schools.
Thank you, Bejanae. And I think that what you do is so awesome. And I'm glad that we're able to collaborate to complement one another. My partner, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and I actually saw a need to help more authors and speakers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses get into schools after we were working with a group of independent authors for a Christmas program that we had put together. It was a virtual program during COVID. And basically, we were really unaware as educators about the whole plethora of independent authors that there were, because as traditionalists we were used to ordering out of the catalogs and things that were
Mhm.
sent to the school and not necessarily going out of our box to actually look for other things. So once we became aware, we wanted to make more of our colleagues aware. But the
Mhm.
authors actually asked us about that whole process of, well, how do you become a vendor with the school? How do you
Mhm.
even start to contact people, or what is the right avenue to go about that process? How do we
Mhm.
connect what we have to some of the problems that exist in schools? And so that's how Conducting Business with Schools was born, actually out of an ask that they
Mhm.
asked for us to do that. So we did, and it has helped several people get vendorships with multiple school districts in multiple states. So one particular success story is Integrate. Um, I think it's Integrate International. They're a software company. They're a
Mm.
small business actually, but they are in New York City schools now,
Okay.
multiple different school districts where they're offering their service from working with us and being able for us to being able to advise them on the best avenue to go and the best road to take. So we're happy to do that because we need innovation in education. We need more um, books, businesses, and things that are innovative from women and people that have great ideas. Education doing the same things on different days is not working. So we need some innovation. We need some fresh ideas,
Mhm.
new people to bring some things in. So we're happy
That's
to
right.
be able to offer that service, and also make sure that we're telling parents about people that we're finding along the way who could also even help them, and as well as the educators that we're connected to.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I can't wait to show. Speaking of new, can't wait to introduce everyone to our new guests. So I'm gonna. What about if I introduce one and you introduce our other guests? What do you think
Sure.
about that? Okay.
Good afternoon, Miss Dot McKeever Jeter. She tunes in with us from Illinois. Thank you for joining us.
All right. So one of our featured guests tonight is Ladwina. Pronounce your last name for me.
Flejeance.
Flejeance, right? I like it. It has that like Bejanae. I love it.
Yes,
I love it. We have LaDuena Flejeance. She's an author, educator as well, entrepreneur, and has served her community for 2 decades now. She's received her master's degree in educational leadership at Lamar University and attended also Dallas Theological Seminary. She is a huge advocate for public education and has served on numerous committees within her school district. And LaDuena is the CEO of Flejeance Insurance Agency, an agency that helps to educate and advise its clients on wealth of their securities. And she's also founder of Fruits of Her Labor, a nonprofit organization for women seeking opportunities to create their own businesses. And being an inspired motivator to others, she enjoys dancing, she enjoys cooking, and she also enjoys spending quality time on her patio in El Fresco. So welcome, LaDuena.
Thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Welcome. And I will introduce Miss Saray Addison. She is an innovative educator who prioritizes equity. She attended the College of Worcester with the, is that Posse Scholarship and earned a degree in communication, sciences, and disorders. After moving to St. Louis, she joined Teach for America, earned a master's degree in elementary education, and taught elementary school. In her 3rd year of teaching, she was elevated to serve on the school district of University City's Board of Education, becoming its youngest director and vice president. Saray also wrote Savannah's Savings Jar, a children's book on financial literacy. She and her boyfriend also own a clothing brand called Inner Peace Outer Glow. Saray is pursuing a PhD in education policy and equity at St. Louis University and serving as public policy fellow at Diversity in Leadership Institute in California. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
That is.
And I love the connections that you all have. LaDuena has this insurance agency and teaches her clients about wealth of their securities. And then Saray, you have this financial literacy resource to help get the kids young. That's perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect group.
That is awesome. And we may have lost Miss LaDuena for just a minute. I'm sure she's going to come back. While we're waiting for her to come back, Saray, I'm going to show your, you actually have a book trailer that I'm going to share. She's back. Let me let her in.
Meet 10-year-old Savannah. Her nickname is Saving Savannah, but it wasn't always this way. A school project to start a business encourages her to become an entrepreneur. She meets this opportunity with determination to create a successful business and reach a financial goal. Savannah's business, Terrific Slimerific, is off to a great start until she runs into a conflict. She and her best friend, Spending Spencer, go to the mall and do not spend the money wisely. After not taking heed of the advice her father gives to save her money before spending, Savannah discovers she doesn't have enough money to cover the cost of her expenses. Savannah is devastated by her realization. She has to figure out how to get enough money to continue Terrific Slimerific. Will Savannah overcome her setback? To find out, get your copy of Chelsea Addison's Savannah's Saving Jar today. Available at Adwin Publishing and Media.
That is awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, I was watching and I was like, oh, that's so good.
And that is so great because financial literacy is one of the things that is required in schools, but it's also one of the things that we struggle with because it is not tested. But when we talk about making sure that students are college and career ready, there's no better way to make sure that you're ready for society than to make sure that you're financially literate. So sometimes because things are not tested, we miss out on those opportunities to really ensure that students are going to have things that they're really going to need to navigate life. And financial literacy is definitely one of those things. Tell us what inspired you to go that route with creating something on financial literacy for students, and also a little bit about your journey.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me here. Listening to you guys' backgrounds and what you all do, I'm like, we need to talk more, because that's absolutely a need, especially what you were talking about, Ms. Dr. Houston, that I've suffered with trying to figure out. But my inspiration came from my students. When I was teaching in St. Louis, I taught second grade and first grade. And when I was teaching second grade, some of my students inspired me to write the story. And it's kind of like what you were saying. At the time, it wasn't required to teach, and still is not necessarily required to teach in all elementary schools. And that's really who I cater to. And so wanting to introduce my students to these topics, but not really finding resources that either were rigorous enough or that reflected the students that I was teaching, I just decided to create a story of my own, create a resource of my own. You all know, as teachers, we're constantly creating something for our students. And so I was the teacher that was like trying to figure out, there were pencils all over the floor. Okay, we're going to tape the pencils to the table on a string. Okay, so I was in the groove of always creating something anyway for my students to meet a need. And so this just was the next need to meet. And from there, I just continued to write. Saving isn't the only financial topic. And it became, okay, if we're going to talk about saving, then we have to talk about investing. If we're going to talk about saving, we need to talk about spending. We need to talk about real estate. We need to talk about all these things. And I had a fun time writing. And so I discovered a love for writing. At the time, I was reading children's books every day because I was a teacher. So I had the voice and the understanding of what captured their attention. And I put all of that along with just tools that I know as a teacher I needed when I was reading a story, or that parents would need to support them as they were reading stories with children. I used it with like comprehension questions and a glossary, pre-comprehension questions, just to like set the stage before the story starts. And that's pretty much how I got started. And I'll just add one last thing. I come from a family where financial literacy was talked about from a young age. So I just had the understanding from a very young age, and then kind of mirroring that experience. I want to mirror that experience for my students. At best as I could, like just to start to have the conversation. And so that's what I did.
That's awesome. And as a principal or a former principal, now I work at the district level, but I coach principals. One of the things that when I tell them when we get around testing time, it's like maybe 2 to 3 weeks left after testing. That's kind of like downtime, or these are the weeks that you can start maximizing, where you implement things like the financial literacy that's not tested, but students need these skills. So we can really capitalize on this time after testing to get their skills up in that area. And I'm gonna let Miss Bejanae talk with.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for repping the Lou, like, because I grew up in St. Louis, right? And it's not an easy place to teach. So thank you for all the work that you've done there. And then also to be elected to, I know you spelled it out, University City, but for you City, like, thank you also for your work and your contributions there for our kids and for the community. So excellent work. And I'm also curious in terms of LaDuina, connections to her, because I know she owns an insurance agency and helps to teach and educate her clients about, wealth resources. And just a quick little your thought on financial literacy at their early stage.
Yes. Well, first of all, Saray, awesome job. I also come from elementary as well. I started off as a second grade teacher before I moved into testing,
Me too.
and I oversee the whole math department as an instructional coach. So everything you say was spot on. My students, we always did lemonade stands, and so we could talk about the profits and how much money you're going to make. So excellent. Like, I praise you for that. I'm going to get your book, so I'm very excited because I'm definitely going to be gifting some teachers in our district some of your books. So
Yeah.
congratulations in terms of that. But yes, it goes hand in hand. You know, it starts at a very young young age, should I say, starting from second grade all the way moving on to up. And then even when you're becoming an adult, you know, that's one thing we focus a lot at my agency is the education part of the understanding the why, and just getting clients live familiar a little bit about their securities and why they need insurance. So yes, it all goes hand in hand. So congrats.
And we don't want to leave you out in your book because you're here to tell us about your recently launched book that I heard
yes,
Amazon was like
so
an Amazon
excited.
bestseller. LaDuina, tell us.
So I'm so excited. Yes, my book just came out last Tuesday called She's Bearing All Fruits. And funny story on how I got, inspired to do the book. Matter of fact, I was a third grade teacher on recess duty with my colleagues. And we were just talking at that time. I think it was like the Real Housewives were just getting popular with Atlanta and Orange County. And we was making a joke like, you know what? We need a show called The Real Teachers of Harris County. And we was going to do a whole plot, and come to find out they got Abbott Elementary. So, I should have stuck to it, and then we could have had a show going on. But so I really wanted to talk about like the behind the scenes of a teacher. So as the years progressed and I was working on my master's and just journaling and reflecting, instead of me talking about the life of a teacher, I wanted to talk about my purpose of why I wanted to become a teacher. So the books talk a lot about, me being a housewife for 6 years and then walking into my purpose, my calling into education. So my first 5 years pretty much is in the book of talking about how I became a teacher, my struggles, what I had to go through. Because yes, teachers have to create a lot of things. It's not a 9-to-5 job, So it talks a lot about that. And I always tell people teaching is a ministry. So you have to make sure that this is truly your calling, and you just can't go in for all the wrong reason. Because yes, we get the summer off, we get the holiday off. That's all great perks, but that shouldn't be your main reason on why you want to become a teacher. So the book talks a lot about the why of why I wanted to walk into this purpose. And yes, as a woman, we wear the hats of the mom, the wife, the daughter, the friend. But I wanted to share about more of me as an individual and my purpose and my calling. So she's bearing all fruits that we can bear it all. And it's based off of the fruits of her spirit. Because I used to teach Sunday school as well with a 3 to 5 year old. And that's always was my favorite scripture. So using those attributes of love, joy, peace, all of that, it just breaks down the chapter and how we can bear it all, even in our home and outside our home as well.
That is awesome. I love that. And when we talk with teachers at a lot of times at the beginning of the year, connecting to that why, and even when we're reflecting over the summer, is something that we always like to send teachers back to, and not just teachers, really all educators, about the why, because sometimes it gets lost in all of the alphabet soups that we're trying to navigate, and all of the legislation and everything that happens on a day-to-day. Sometimes that gets lost, and reconnecting to that is important. So I love that you have written a book on that. That would be a great gift for principals to get their teachers. I used to always do a welcome back gift for my teachers. It could be summer reading. It could be used for so many things.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so excited too because the book came out. We hit 16 number one categories for the book. Again, the hard copy is not even out yet. Like I literally just got my, you know how they say do not sell book because you have to finish reviewing.
Right.
But so yeah, it came out on the 18th last week. We did an e-launch in terms of that, and we ran a campaign for it in like less than 48 hours. Like it just was all over. So we end up being international bestseller in terms of the book and for the author. So Very excited.
Wow. Let me share my
Fantastic.
screen so we can congratulate you. That is awesome.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
And so thinking, so you have this recent win, right? And you've taken all these steps to get there to launch your book, right? And you're seeing immediate success already. But Dwena, if there was a valuable tip that you could give to maybe a budding author, what would that be? And I'm going to ask you, Saray, too, the same question. Like, what would that tip be, being that it's fresh on your mind? You just published a book.
I would truly say, just stay true to who you are. Everyone has a story to tell, and no better author is going to be better than yourself. So you be the one to tell your own story. You can navigate it how you want, and it's your story to tell. So I would say just start off. It might seem like, because again, my background was math science. It wasn't language arts. So, don't overthink it. Just start off. Like, I'll just journal every day. I journal my day, and then taking those notes and those pieces and just put it all together and just tell your story, genuinely tell your story out to the world, and and then just go from there. But yes, make sure you tell your story based off of your individual and your journey, because it is your journey.
Love that. Makes sense. Be authentic, right?
Exactly.
I love that. Saray, how about you?
So I'll say I have a publishing and media company, so I work with authors, whether it's consulting or helping them publish.
Nice.
And so one of the things that I always like to say, on top of what LaDuena mentioned, as far as like sharing your story, you have a story, and as well as not overthinking it, is it doesn't matter where you start, just start. So a lot of people like want to write a book, right? They're like, oh, I have this idea. So it's like, just start it then. Like, write it down somewhere, put it in a Google Doc somewhere. Like, start the process by just writing, get it out of your head. And then the next step will come after that, because then you'll feel like, okay, well, I just need to keep going. And then when you finish, you're like, okay, now what should I do next? You realize that maybe I need an illustrator, maybe I need someone to edit it. But if you never start that, then you never get to that space. And so I just really try to encourage folks to, like, despite what's going on, just write, because there's typically, what I find, like, a lot of pent up energy around the idea, that once it's released will, like, unblock some kind of flow within the person, and kind of allow them to, like, reach a new level of their unlimited potential. And so I like for people to see how, like, not getting it out is kind of holding them back. And it's funny because sometimes people will come to me like 2 or 3 years later, like, I still need to. I'm like, just write it. Like, just write it.
An outline. Just start with an outline.
I'm still thinking about the book. Well, just write it then this time. Like, don't think about it anymore. But I completely agree with everything like that LaDuena said as well, though, because all of those inhibit that process.
Mm-hmm. And you all both mentioned, so having been educators or being educators, right? Even though you're on the side of being an educator, it's not always clear how to unlock how to get into schools as a vendor, right? So Dr. Sheka Houston is going to share with us a little bit and give you a couple little tips and ideas on how to do that. And I'll share a little bit about how to get grant funding, either for your next book or to help propel your current book.
Definitely. And I can't say enough about the importance of representation. My daughter, she's in 5th grade, and she was telling me about a poetry unit that they're working on. And she said, I really don't, she wasn't into it. So because of what Dr. Taylor and I do, people send us books all the time. So I have all of these books by African Americans who have written great books of poetry. So I share those with her. And on the 6th page, she said, Mommy, this is my favorite poem in here. And so she's reading it. And so when we talk about representation, it is important. We cannot say that enough, because just from what she was given at school, she had determined in her mind, oh, I don't like poetry. But when I put a book in her hand that was written by people that look like her, who have experiences that she can connect with, who have written things in a way that is easily for her to connect to, and her background knowledge, now I got a favorite poem. So that is the power behind that representation. And getting into schools, we talk about how we show you how to tell principals and teachers how you're solving problems, just like the one I just talked about, how students sometimes can't connect with what they're given. So now you have some supplemental other material that you can put into everyone's hands, that all students can be represented. And it's not just so that, other students can connect to it. Other students also need to be exposed to hear about different backgrounds as well. So we really give you lots of tips about explaining the problem that you're solving to be able to get what you have to offer in schools. What's the best time to reach out as far as budgets are concerned, and when that planning is happening. And we give you a lot of insight on exactly how to format those emails and what's going to get people's attention. So all of those things, people that we have been working with have found to be very helpful.
Absolutely. And I even took the course and I was like, yes, why did I know this? I worked in a school system, but those are the things that you don't get taught, you don't know. So definitely, for those who are listening in and for the authors here, definitely consider checking out that course, because it is definitely a game changer. It's definitely a game changer.
Thank you, Bejanae. And your grant course is one that we're enrolled in, and really helpful, because we even work with someone who has gotten grants to just give their books away. So talk about that as well, Bejanae.
Absolutely. So what most people don't know, especially since the pandemic, education is at the forefront of a lot of people, a lot of funders' minds. And so there are billions of dollars out there, y'all, billions of dollars out there for educational purposes. And you all's books are just that. It's for educational purposes. And so we have an online course that we offer to help educators such as yourself tap into those billions of dollars. And so I know you all have written a lesson plan. So we make it as simple as a lesson plan. Since you've written a lesson plan, we show you how to write a grant application and connect the two. So essentially, you'll learn how to effectively pitch your book or your service for funding, decode the key components of a grant application. Also, where do you even go? Who's giving out the money, right? So we help show you where do you go to find the funding. And then a big thing that you normally don't do in a lesson plan, but you need to do for grant application, is how do you build your budget to cover your expenses? So like whether it's for, hey, I know there's printing and shipping costs, right? I need to pay for my time to help package and support those things. Or maybe I want to do an author's reading at a school or for teachers or things like that. All that could be covered for with grants, with grant dollars. So that's something that we help share with authors. And we have rolled out a new service where we're actually doing grant writing. So then that's another thing that we help, because again, authors have a lot of other things on their time, right? Conceptualizing their next book, their next story, helping to market their story. And so we can take the guesswork out of it and help save you all time by helping to write your grants for you. So that's a couple things that we do. And you can earn CEUs, continuing education units, at the same time to help you renew your teacher certification. So it's all a win-win. It's all a win-win.
That sounds so awesome. I'll definitely be in contact with you.
All right.
I have such a busy schedule. I was like, does anyone just write it for me?
Right. Exactly.
Delegate the task.
That's exactly right. So we can do that as well. So yeah, thank you for your time, women. Oh my God, it's just amazing. I'm glad you all were here at the same time, because you all have that connection between just elevating legacy work, understanding whether it's from a financial literacy perspective, or like you said, the why. Why did I get into this again? Oh, I need a reflection, right? I think that's great for schools, whether it's for the teacher. Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up, and next week, in 2 weeks. So a great gift that school principals could purchase and give out to their educators as well. And then teachers, they also have families, right? So your book would be great, Saray, for teachers, kids, that they have at home outside of just in their classroom. So excellent work.
And financial literacy is something I definitely try to do at home with my daughters because they do not have a good concept of money at all. They are 8 and 11, and if I pay for something with cash, they're saying, "Oh, are we broke? Is something wrong with your card?" Because they think the card is never ending. So we have to have multiple conversations about that.
Okay, that's good to know. So that I love hearing stories like that because then I can know like what to throw in the books, like what misconceptions do children have, and what type of, because they're learning informally and then making meaning from that. And so I'm gonna have to figure out how I can weave something like that into maybe the investing book because it's coming out, but it's not out yet. So I'm like over here, like, how can I maybe weave something of that in there?
Yeah, cash.
That's a new one.
That means you're broke.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one.
Cash is no longer king. Okay.
I've heard to just swipe the card and like not realizing that money is attached to it. Like it's just a card. But that's the first. I have never heard that one. Yeah.
Yes, that's what they think. So I have to explain that the card only gets refilled because mommy goes to work.
Right.
And my check is attached to this card. So we talk about that. And we even, I tried to build in things where it's, incentives. They wanted to do something for, it was actually a good cause. They wanted to contribute to helping some children in need. But I told them, so when we go out on Fridays to eat Mexican, let's eliminate one of those Fridays and we're going to donate that to this cause that you all would like to support. So just trying to give them some attachment to sacrifice and making sure you're doing some other things to help other people. But thank you, ladies. You all have some great things to offer. I hope all of the educators tuning in will get your book, both books for teachers to connect to their why. Like I said, that's great for summer reading and even for the beginning of the year. Great gifts for teachers coming up for Appreciation Week, like Bejanae mentioned. And the financial literacy books. We can't teach financial literacy enough to our children. It's something they really need to understand. And this is a great time after testing to not movieville it. Like I used to tell my teachers, we're not going to sit around here and watch movies the rest of the year.
Feature presentation at 8, 12, and 2.
We're not going to movieville it up. We got to do some things that are constructive as well. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. Thank you all that tuned in with us online and those of you that will tune in later. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Y'all too. Enjoy your evening.
Hang on, ladies, while I end the show. Hang on.
Okay.